Cactus Hotel. We'll be reading Cactus Hotel, written by Brenda Z. Guberson, illustrated by Megan Lloyd. Okay, and I love when I look at this book, I see all these beautiful creatures all along the outside that look all like they live in the desert, right? When I look at that picture, I think, ooh, that is the desert. And I look at all these little critters, and I think they must all live in the desert too, right? Oh, there's a scorpion. We talked about that last week when we did the meerkat book.
And there's a cactus too.
What? Oh, yeah, and lots of cactus too, huh?
Yeah.
So last week we talked about, the meerkats in the desert, and the meerkats, what they like to eat was scorpions. That was their favorite meal, right? Favorite meal was scorpions. Cactus Hotel. Cactus Hotel. On a hot, dry day in the desert, a bright red fruit falls from a tall saguaro cactus. Plop! It splits apart on the sandy floor. 2,000 black seeds glisten in the sunlight. Those are the seeds from the saguaro cactus. Teeny tiny little black seeds. All right, you guys see the saguaro cactus and the fruit from the saguaro cactus with all those seeds. So that, oh my goodness, you made a big mess. You're gonna have to sweep all those crumbs into your hand and throw them away, Anaya. Goodness gracious. Troy. When the air cools in the evening, an old pack rat comes out and eats the juicy fruit. Then he skitters off across the sand. A seed left clinging to his whiskers falls off under a palo verde tree. It is a good place for a seed to drop. A spotted ground squirrel looking for something to eat does not see it. A house finch chirping high in the palo verde does not see it. And it kind of shows a teeny, teeny, tiny little seed dropped there. Okay. So do you think that maybe it's showing us kind of how some of the seeds can spread from the cactus, that we might be learning how? Remember last week when we did or the week before when we did our how can a tree go 1,000 miles or, go halfway around the world, right? And it talked about different ways that seeds can be spread. And right now, it's showing us one way that this seed was spread was it fell from the tree, and then a rat started to eat it, and then the rat, it took the seed over here, and so we'll see. After many dry days, a heavy rain falls on the desert. Soon, a young cactus sprouts up from the ground. There's the rain in the desert. What is that white stuff? Yeah, the white kind of coming from the sky is the rain. It's just. Slowly, the seedling grows. The Palo Verde protects it from the hot summer sun and cold winter nights. After 10 years, the cactus is only 4 inches tall. Wow, that took a long time. It's just big enough for desert ants to climb on its spiny sides. Wipe all those crumbs into your hand and throw them away. Do not just throw them all over the floor. Wipe them into your hand and throw them away. No, wipe it into your hand. After a rainstorm, when the desert blooms with color, the cactus pulls in water with its long roots and looks fat. A young pack rat stops to drink the water off the tips of the tree. Then she scurries off looking for a dry place to make a nest. So this kind of shows the root system of a cactus. It's really nice and wide so that it can collect water from all over when it rains in the desert. It has nice long roots, and then the cactus swells up with all the rain and gets a little fat so that it can survive for the long time that it goes without getting any water. You see that root system of the cactus below the soil? And now you need to pick up all those big crumbs off the floor. There's no reason you should have made that big mess without little things. A little bit of food. A lot of big mess. When there is no rain, the cactus uses the water it is stored inside and looks thin. So, when there's lots of rain, it gathers up all that water and it looks real fat. And when there's not very much rain, it uses up the water and it gets nice and skinny, looks really thin. The Palo Verde loses its tiny leaves, but there's always some shade for the cactus below. After 25 years, the cactus is 2 feet tall. A jackrabbit cools off beside it and gnaws on the green pulp. But when a coyote moves in the distance, the jackrabbit disappears in a nearby hole. How long is this? 25 years, and the cactus is finally 2 feet tall. Wow. No, 2 feet tall. 4 inches was after 10 years. 4 inches. Okay, so we're looking at my little stick over here. After 10 years, the cactus is only this tall. 4 inches. Okay, after 25 years, it's only this tall, 2 feet. Okay, if I were to put 2 feet up next to me, it's down here. I think my kids are both taller than that. Okay, and they're only a few years old, right? My little 3-year-old is taller than a 25-year-old cactus. Okay. And those cactuses get tall, right? They get tall. But now you know how long it takes them to get that tall. Holy cow. It's a long time. After 50 years, probably some of your grandparents' age, 50 years, the cactus stands 10 feet tall and looks straight and strong besides the old Palo Verde. For the very first time, brilliant white and yellow flowers appear at the top of the cactus. Every spring from now on, the flowers will open for one night only, and then close in the heat of the day. They are They beckon like a welcoming signal across the desert. At different times of day and night, birds, bees, and bats come for the nectar of the flowers. Wow. For one night only, and they come for all over to get those flowers. So that's after 50 years, as old as some of your grandparents, or maybe not even quite as old as your grandparents. That cactus is finally 10 feet tall. So double Miss Kennison's height. It's like me standing on top of me. Might be as tall as this 50-year-old cactus.
Oh my goodness.
And then it finally starts to bloom. After 50 years, that cactus blooms. Oh, how? 50 years and that cactus finally bloomed. For one night only. The flowers dry up, and after a month, the bright red fruit filled with black seeds is ripe and ready. A Gila woodpecker comes to eat. He looks around the cactus and decides to stay. He has found the perfect place in the desert to begin a new hotel. The woodpecker goes right to work, and the only tool he uses is his long, hard beak. Tap, 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 he bores into the flesh of the cactus. Tap, 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 he digs deep inside to make a space that is comfortable and roomy. The cactus is not harmed. It forms a tough scab all around the hole to protect itself from drying out. The woodpecker gets a weatherproof nest that is shady on hot days and warm and insulated on frosty nights. And the cactus gets something in return. The woodpecker likes to eat the insects that can bring disease to the cactus. So even though it might seem like the woodpecker is hurting the cactus, in the end, the woodpecker and the cactus have what's known as a symbiotic relationship, is that they each benefit from each other. Because the woodpecker gets a safe place to sleep and have its nest. And the way that the cactus protects itself is it forms, like a hardened scab where that woodpecker damaged it, so that it can keep disease out. But then the woodpecker eats all the bugs that might bring disease to the cactus. So they both benefit.
I got one.
After 60 years, the cactus is 18 feet tall. So another 10 years since the last time we saw it. This was at 50 years. At 60 years, the Cactus Hotel is 18 feet tall. To add more space, it begins to grow an arm. A woodpecker has a new hole in the trunk. Farther up, a white-winged dove makes a nest on the arm. And down below, an old hole is discovered by an elf owl. The birds feel safe living high up in a prickly plant where nothing can reach them, right? It shows a little coyote at the bottom being like, I can't reach those birds up there because they're safe up in a prickly plant. So woodpecker is making a new home up here. And the elf owls discovered the old nest. It's down there. A dove is going to build a nest on top of that.
What is that thing down there?
It's a coyote. Is it going, ooh, I might like to eat those birds, but they're too far away.
Coyote. A coyote.
Coyote?
It looks like a coyote.
And the elk is starting to go over there, and that's so it's going down. We just have to. Okay. All around the desert, there are holes of every size for ants and mice, lizards and snakes, rabbits and foxes. After 150 years, let me say that again. After 150 years, there are holes of every size in the cactus too. The giant plant has finally stopped growing. It is 50 feet tall. 50 feet tall. Holy guacamole. With 7 long branches. It weighs 8 tons, about as much as 5 automobiles. Automobile is like a car. So it weighs about as much as 5 cars. Okay, and then if we look down, we can see the holes in the ground of the ants and the mice and the kangaroo rat and little different varieties of lizards and chipmunks, snakes, jackrabbits. There's another snake. There's a coyote den in there, and then there's holes in the cactus as well. So after it took it 150 years to grow 50 feet tall. So you gotta kind of respect these cactuses when you see them and they're this big. You have to know that those cactuses are really, really, really old. Right? It took 25 years for it to grow 2 feet tall. So this cactus, by this point, it's this big, is 150 years old.
Wow. 4 feet instead of.
Holy cow. All the holes in the ground. See all those?
Snake.
Okay, we gotta turn the page. Everybody wants to live in the Cactus Hotel. Birds lay eggs and pack rats raise their young. There's the pack rat in there. Even insects and bats live there. There's an insect. Let's see, is there a bat that we can see? I don't see a bat. There's all sorts of different birds with eggs in there. When one animal moves out, another moves in, and every spring they come for a special treat of nectar and juicy red fruit. There's a hummingbird up there. Wow. Every spring they come for a, if I can freeze this while I show.
It's really far down. Even 50.
Hey. All of those animals living in that cactus.
Oh my gosh!
Put that away.
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
That was it from the very beginning. We talked about through the cactus, how that seed traveled.
Yes.
Hey. Oh, finally, after 200 years. After 200. After 200 years, the old cactus sways in a gust of wind and falls with a thud to the sandy floor. Its great thorny arms crumble in the crash. So it took 200 years to grow as big, 150 years it grew as big as it was going to get. And then 50 more years and it died. Isn't that crazy? 200 years that cactus lived. 200 years that cactus. They're so big. That was my choice. That's fine. Sit up, Jimmy. The creatures that lived up high must find other homes, but those that prefer to live down low move right in. A millipede, a scorpion, let's see, oh, there's the millipede, and a scorpion. Okay, I'll show you. And many ants and termites find homes in the toppled hotel. After months, all that remains are the wooden ribs that supported the cactus while it stood so tall. A collared lizard dashes over the top looking for insects. A ground snake huddles in the shade below.
I want to see this.
Hold on, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Take a look at this. So even once it's dead, it's not done providing homes for certain for creatures. It's just different types of creatures that moves in. Scorpions, millipede, ants, and termites. The lizards are now on there looking for insects to eat.
Ew.
Yeah. No, it's dead. You not listen? We just said that it's dead, but that it's providing homes still even while it's dead, are different creatures in the desert. I'm concerned with centipede. Millipede is very much like a centipede with all the different. I said put that away. Put it in your backpack. I don't want to see it because you're treating it like a toy. And all around, there's a forest of cacti growing slowly. Slowly growing in the desert. Through the hot and cold, wet and dry, some will survive long enough to become other cactus hotels. Okay, Louisa needs to be put away. Everybody, your food needs to be put away. Right? Our desks need to be cleaned off. We're getting into what we're going to do today. What we're going to do. Okay, and then this has some information here in the back. And it says the saguaro cactus can only be found in the Sonoran Desert of southern Arizona and northern Mexico. A sign identifies a large area of these plants as the saguaro forest. A forest, if this is a forest, where are the leaves? The saguaro does not have leaves. A tree with broad leaves can lose 100 gallons of water in a day. But a cactus has adapted its shape and tissue so that it loses less than 1 glass of water per day. The saguaro hoards water and uses the moisture stored inside during the long dry period of the desert. On a rare occasion, after a rainstorm, a saguaro will take in too much water and a section will burst. Usually, the cactus is able to heal over the injury and recover. Does this leafless plant have any wood? The long, straight rods inside the cactus are wood. Human desert dwellers have always valued this material for building. It makes good roofs, fences, and fuel. It's also useful for reaching the fruit at the top of the giant cactus. The saguaro fruit was so important to the local Papago Indians that they began their calendar year with the time of the fruit harvest. Today, a large saguaro, Jimmy, is prized so much for landscape reasons that cactus rustlers receive thousands of dollars to illegally uproot and deliver large specimens. Saguaros have grown to an old age that has survived droughts, freezes, flash floods, brush fires, high concentration of pack rat, which eats seedlings. Without saguaros, there would be severe shortage of food and nesting sites for the creatures of the desert. Okay, so that really talked about how important it was, or it is, in that desert habitat to have these cactuses. Now, they're not in all desert habitats, right? It said the saguaro cactus only grows in Arizona and northern Mexico, in southern Arizona and northern Mexico, in the Sonoran Desert. So it really doesn't even grow all over the world, right? Pretty amazing.